Welcome back to the Amatoria podcast. Today we have another episode of the Amorati Spotlight. I'm your host, Justin, and I'm joined today with Marvin, who is in Brazil, who just moved, actually. How are you, man?
I'm good, man, as always. Being in Brazil is the adventure of a lifetime.
Our guest today knows. And Anthony, maybe you want to introduce yourself. Who are you and what's your story?
Yeah, my name is Anthony. I'm the community coordinator at Ars Amorati right now, which is, of course, where all of us met in one way or another. I work with Jordan, Luke Collier, and Zan Perion and Serene behind the scenes, planning and writing up copy and whatnot. And I was part of the Caravan for a while last year, 2024, in Romania.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like 5 months or so. 5 months or so of crazy adventures.
You still are, brother. It never ends. Once you're part of the Caravan, it's full life.
Yeah. In spirit, I'm still part of it. Maybe not at the moment physically, but and I hope to be soon as well, physically part of the Caravan again. I know we're all kind of in our own places right now. Marvin seems to be leading
leading the charge.
Yeah.
Last man standing. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we'll stand up and make it to Bucharest.
Anthony, what's your journey been like?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, that's in a month. The Amorati conference is in a month.
Yeah.
And Marvin, you are going.
Yeah.
Stan is going, I think. Yeah. Anthony, are you going to go?
I don't think I'll be there in May for the May conference. I have a new job, as you guys know. I'm bartending.
Sexy bartender mustache.
Here at home. I like it a lot. I'm also using it as a way to make some money so I can make some desires happen. I plan on going in September because my dad's partner is going to study Spanish in Valencia. It's her first time going to Europe. I'm kind of helping her plan, and I'd love to see her there. So I'd like to go, and I think my dad would also go, who's also an Amorati.
Yes.
As you guys also know. And I think both of us will be at the conference in September, which would be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Father and son conference bonding time.
That would be really cool. Maybe even with his partner. So we'll see. I don't think I'll be there in May.
Fair enough. And Anthony, you speak Spanish and Italian, and you've been on many adventures. You had been to Brazil for what, 9 months? I remember you telling me before we had even met.
9 months in South America. I spent 7.5 in Brazil and another month in Bolivia, a few weeks in Argentina. Yeah, had a whole adventure down there. That was a real catalyst in my growth, both personally and with regards to dating and relating to women.
Right.
Yeah.
So, will you paint a picture for us? What's your journey been like? Where did you start? Like, who were you at the very, very start with women, and how did your travels change you, and what did you learn along the way, the mentors that you sought out, the beautiful women that inspired you along the way, and everything up to where you're at now today and what your current edge with women is?
Wow, what a question. But at the same time, it's very clear. So, the start is when I was born, I guess. I had I don't want to get too far into the details of my childhood, but I was born in 1997. Had two loving parents. Had friends growing up, girls and boys. Was very just sort of open and expressive and curious. I remember having did I have any crushes when I was in preschool? Probably. I remember I had this memory always, it comes up every now and then, of this girl, and she was in my kindergarten class, and we went to this play at the end of the kindergarten year, and we watched the play, and then I had a lollipop, and I wanted to give her a lollipop because I liked her. I wanted to give her a lollipop, and her mom took her away. And I remember just being standing there on the sidewalk with my hand out, and the girl walking away from me with her back to me, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's so sad."
Cock blocked.
And I cock blocked by her mom at 5 years old. Yeah.
6 years old.
6 years old, whatever. Yeah. I remember. I think I kissed a girl when I was like 4 or something. I think that was my first kiss. I think we have a picture of it as a family friend. I believe. If I remember choosing correctly. I remember liking this girl when I was in elementary school. Like, I would like, yeah, just I don't know, like it's incredible because I'm as I grow now, I'm like, wow, like when I was a kid, I was like so much more expressive and less self-censoring than I have been as an adult. Um,
Wow.
and I wouldn't try to. There were no techniques. It was just hey, like, but it also wasn't hey girl, you're cute. It was like I remember telling the little girl she reminded me of a mouse. She was so small and cute, and she looked reminded me of a mouse, and she was like, yeah, I'm a mouse. Like just like shit like that. I don't know. So yeah, and then I guess shit changed when I kind of hit like puberty, right? So like adolescence. I discovered pornography. Uh, PORN. I was like, what's PORN? Look it up.
No.
Um, and yeah, I started to. I may not be related to that, but just started to find myself like at odds with women. And I remember one time, I think I told you guys this story. I was in my grade 8 class, and uh, like typical like adolescence, like just hormones raging, and no one knows what's going on in their bodies. And I remember like someone asked me like, Anthony, what's your problem? And I get up and I just point to all the girls in the class. I'm like, you're all my problem. And everyone was laughing, and I was serious. I was like fuck, like these girls are like my problem. Like bitches are my problem. And that was something. And I still don't even know what the fuck happened there, to be honest. And then yeah, I mean, after that, I had a girlfriend for like a summer. A girlfriend, you're 13, like you hug, right? And then I told her I loved her, and she told me that, yeah, I love you too, but not in that way. And then uh, I was hurt for sure, and then I just like stopped like talking to girls pretty much, and I had friends, but like, and some of them were girls, but I like never got like. I guess I was more aware of like sexuality and these things, and I was like, oh, no, I can't go there, I can't go there. Definitely had some shame around that, and so for a lot of my teenage years, I just, yeah, I like didn't, I didn't go out, I didn't go out to meet girls, I just stayed at home or hung out with 2 friends. It was pretty like, yeah, like very just closed off, very much so. Kind of angry as well. Actually, I had a bit of an angry teenagehood. Defensive. And then I left the house, went to university, and it was kind of the same thing. So I met girls, and there was some interest, but then I shut it down. From this one girl, we'd like go on dates, but she'd bring her sister along. I was like, what's this about? And then I kind of backed off, and then she came on to me, and then I backed off. Again, like probably some power game I was playing with her, and she ended up getting married to someone else actually. I went to her wedding actually, which was a cool experience. Now she has a kid.
Wow.
Yeah. But it wasn't really until I went to Europe. I did an exchange year when I was 21 that I started to. How do I say this? Accept that I'm like a sexual being and a guy who likes women, and explore that. I think there's a bit more of a culture. I was in Italy, especially in Southern Europe. There's more of that kind of Latin culture of
Yeah.
seduction and men and women's relating that I picked up on.
Polarity.
Yeah, polarity. That's a good word, Justin. Yes. oddly enough, it was a lot of Brazilian and Latin American women, Spanish,
Yeah.
that I found myself attracted to and enjoying the company of. Um, and yeah, I mean, those are my first real experiences with women. Like, you know, uh, yeah, first adult experiences with women. Um, and after I had my taste of that, I wanted more. And it kind of morphed into self development and transformation. So I took a bunch of courses. I basically embarked on a journey of self development courses, meditation, um, yeah, books, um, and then my dad had told me about Ars Morata, as well as a few other coaches, because he had learned from these guys and had benefited from them. And I was a bit slow to come around to it, but I did, bit by bit. Read this guy called Corey Wayne. He's an American coach. He's got some good stuff. He's got a book called 3% Man. Then I read The Alabaster Girl. Actually, before that, I met Jordan Luke Collier, the other Asmarada coach, online when I was in Brazil. Yes, the book, Alabaster Girl. And right, let me just put things in order. So yeah, I come back from Europe. I want more. So I decide not long after to go to Brazil and go to the source of this polarity, this sexuality that I'm exploring. And I go and I find what I was looking for, which is just um, a very sexual culture, not in a bad way, but just in the way that it is,
Yeah.
in which
Or normalized.
it's normalized.
Sure.
Yeah. And I really just had opened myself up to new experiences, both with women and just in general. Um, yeah, had a real kind of soul opening experience. Um, had an ayahuasca experience, as you know, as well, towards the end of that trip, which definitely did something in me for sure.
Yeah.
Some kind of healing happened in that experience, without a doubt. Yeah, played around a bit more with psychedelics when I came back home. I kind of phased out after that, but then things picked up more with women. And one of the girls that I was dating when I was in Brazil, she came up here, and we spent some time together, which was a really, beautiful time, and I learned a lot there. That ended as well, learnings there. And it was just kind of like it was messy, but it was all part of it, right? All part of the journey. And then yes, I finally ended up reading Alabaster Girl, and said, "Wow, like this is I've never heard anyone talk about relating this way. Like, how have I never heard this before?"
Yeah.
And now, a few years later, it's like it's normal to me, but at the time, I was like, "This is insane." And I knew then and there that kind of the next phase was going to be exploring the question of how do I want my life with women to look. And I kind of left the spiritual meditation stuff and moved into this um, personal excellence. Um, it started with I want to make money and meet women, and it's transformed into more of a how do I show up in the world in a way that I'm happy with, and thereby meet women and make money, which we can go into a bit later. But that's kind of been what I've been doing since, and it's been now a year and just over a year that I've really been following this stuff. It's become really my overarching philosophy in life. Who am I today? What do I want my life to look like? Contemplating on why I am here in the universe at this time in history. Um, yeah, it's kind of the journey.
Incredible, man.
Great, man.
I love that you started at birth.
Yeah. It was the most comprehensive.
Well, because people ask, well, how long have you been doing seduction for? It's like,
Since birth.
I mean, my whole life? Like,
Since I was a little boy.
Yeah, like since I was a kid. Like,
yeah, actually, it's great because nobody else talked about that, and that part is really important because, as you said, like there's something was naturally there, right? You were born with some gift, some ability to relate to women naturally, and then somehow that got lost along the way in your adolescence and adolescence in your youth. I'm curious to know if you have an idea of what that was that made you kind of more, how to say, like analytically minded towards women, or what, or shameful towards women. Like what do you think that was that triggered that?
Shame is the right word, Marvin. This has been something that I've been exploring. I don't know the answer exactly. I didn't have the best example of, with my parents. They had their own sort of complications as a couple. I went through a Catholic school system that I'm sure taught me some ideas that weren't the most empowering when it came to my sexuality. A lot of suppression, a lot of shame there as well. No fault of the people who were guiding me. I'm sure they were equally as misled as I was. Probably faulty examples, growing up. But
maybe a lack of guidance as well, in a sense of integrating that part into
no one. I mean, I remember my dad would sit me down and kind of give me affirmations like, you are special, you are one of a kind, which was great, and I felt loved. It wasn't a lack of love that I felt, but I had a real attachment to family, and I did feel a certain shame to leaving the family, if that makes sense. And I had friends, but they were always like kids like me, and they were guys, something early on changed with the way I related to girls that weren't my relatives, and it's I can't quite pinpoint what it was, but it's just I think it's always especially at that age when you're not able to when you're not nearly a formed human being with your own idea of sense of self, you only have examples to live off of, right? Like you only have that to inform your decision making, and so I was at the whims of whoever that was, teachers and parents, right, and family, who, like I said, had their own share of misguided examples, and they passed it on to me. And actually, I will say that my dad, who's done a lot of work himself to decouple from those patterns, has been very influential in my life. And his growth has kind of matched my growth in some ways. And I don't know if he didn't make those changes, if I would have made the changes that I made. So I'm very grateful to him for doing that, having done that. Yeah. He's almost been like refathering me in some ways in later life, which is awesome.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
I think that ties into this idea that men need to go and search out for their mentors and their brethren on their own, because the ones that are allotted to you, that are given to you, even if sincere, might not have your best or your true interests at heart. Your teachers, your parents, your siblings, for example, for you to go and find. There's a quote I think it's by Campbell, but maybe it's by some other mythologist. He's like, there are communities that you belong to that you don't even know exist yet. And I think that paints a kind of mythic image of just the fact of this one time on this earth at this point in time. What is our role to play? And what is the meaning of us joining the Amorati? What is the meaning of us searching out mentors like Zan, mentors like Johnny Saporno, that have guided us along the way, who would they have been if they had had a mentor like that? You find it very, very common that even our mentors didn't really have someone they looked up to. They had broken homes. They had a society beaten any sense of true masculinity out of them.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think you're speaking to the timeless theme of man's search for meaning and his need to go and find people that are aligned with who he truly is. That's never been any different.
Yeah, I just got chills when you said that. Like, that is so relevant, Justin. And you look at ancient, I know you and Marvin, both of you are, I'm sure, well versed in ancient civilizations and customs. Like, we were joking about the natives earlier, but the natives gave great importance to their elders, and their elders were sort of these beings who everyone looked up to because they were wise and they knew things that the rest of them didn't. And yeah, I mean, in our society today, like elders are just outcast, and they're cast aside as being whatever. They're no longer productive for the economy, so we just cast them aside and we treat them as if they weren't even there. And what are we missing out on, right? By like, there's this idea that, you know, it's a me based, and Zen talks about this. It's this me based society. It's all about me and I know everything, and there's a lot of value in listening to others who've done things that you haven't. You know, in some ways, I look at Johnny and Zen as other father like figures or uncle like figures, for example, right?
Uncle Bad Touch.
Uncle
In the
Bad
case of
Touch,
Johnny.
right, exactly. Even I mean, I'm grateful that I'm fortunate actually to have three grandparents who are still alive at my age, and I love visiting them and hearing their stories, hearing them ramble on, because you know it's they lived through a different time. They have 28, 50 to 60 years more experience in life than I have. You know, they've seen a lot, and yeah, I mean, I am fortunate to have my own sort of little sphere of elders and wise people to look up to. I'd love more, and a lot of people, frankly, don't have that at all.
Yeah.
And I know people come to groups like ours in Rada because they're looking for at least one person to, to guide them, to give them some sort of system of on which to operate, right?
Yeah.
And you know, Zen is good at that. Like Zen, if a guy doesn't have any kind of figure in his life to which to look up to, you know, Zen is a solid outlet. I think so is Johnny.
Yeah. We talk about.
I'll add on to that.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead, Marvin. No, you go
I
ahead.
just want to mention that we talked a lot about and you kind of alluded to it, the rite of passage from boyhood to manhood. And it's funny how similar themes come up with similar guests that we have on. And it sounds to me like your rite of passage, which is now as a man, you have to kind of seek out for yourself, which usually was bestowed upon you by, let's say, native society or native tribe. And now you kind of have to go out there into the world and seek it out, like you did when you traveled to Europe or you went to Brazil, right? That was, in a way, you could say that was your kind of rite of passage that you went and found out in the world.
Yep, I feel that. I feel that traveling was in many ways my metamorphosis from boyhood into adulthood. Yeah, yeah. I, I feel like a man now. I'm not saying I'm a fully formed man, but I feel much more like a man now than I did, you know, 5 years ago. And yeah, age plays a role for sure, but I know people who are my age who still seem like little boys, right? And what they haven't done is gone through these sort of uncertain experiences in which they don't know what's going to happen, in which they have no money and they have to figure out they're going to eat and survive. You know, how they're going to get girls when they, you know, don't have what guys think girls want, which is you know, a nice car and a nice apartment. Um, yeah, yeah. And look, I mean, I know guys like Justin who are younger than me and my friends and who resemble more of that man-like quality, right? So it's not age as much as it is breadth of experiences, I believe.
Sure. Yeah.
Wow. So I appreciate that, Anthony. And I just have to ask you, what made you pull the trigger, leave everything behind, and to go test yourself in the world? Because we say many are called, few are chosen. A lot of guys hear that quiet, suppressed voice inside them telling them, oh my God, I hate my life. I hate my job. I hate my girl. I hate my friends. I hate my surroundings. And yet they still stay stuck. What was the difference for you? What made you decide enough is enough? You have to change everything and to go into the world. And look who you are now, which is probably the direct outcome of having been brave in that instant.
It was just a feeling of there was this feeling of urgency, and it was like do or die, life or death. It was that serious. It was I have to do this no matter the cost. My life depends on it.
Wow.
And I almost saw like two paths. One was don't go and stay on this path and just. I remember I don't want to say get eaten up, but I remember this so clearly. I was with my dad again, and this would be an example of how he helped me in a great way. We were at lunch or dinner, and he came to visit me when I was studying at university, and I was saying, yeah, I kind of want to go on this exchange, but I also don't want to like miss out on the next internship hiring round. My dad's like, are you fucking serious? Like, you're gonna not go away just so you can get a job? Like, dude, get a job when you come back. Like, don't squander this time of your life because you don't want to not work for 12 months. Like, there's time for that, but you're only 21 once, right? And I was like, yeah, wow, that's true, that's true. And yeah, I mean, I had a few other people who tell me like, there's time for that, but now you're young. Now is the time to travel, and it made sense to me. It made sense to me. For whatever reason, so I had other people saying, "Oh, well, work now and travel later," but that just didn't make sense. I mean, why would I? I don't know if I'll be alive in 30 years. Never mind, want to travel, right?
Yeah, have the energy to travel, have the money. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows, right? And I said, nope, no, I'm doing it now. I wanted to have that. I wanted to have the experience. I didn't care about the stability as much as I did about just having that experience and that breadth of adventure. Yeah, it was just I just had to do it. I don't know why. I don't know why I had that feeling other guys don't, but I did. And if anyone does, and they're listening to this, like you have to do it, because if you don't, you will forever wonder what if, and that feeling will just eat away at you. Yeah. Until eventually you give in, and that giving in can take many different forms, right? In the worst case, it takes the form of like a misguided adventure into some sort of like dark arts or dark place. Some guys will they'll have their midlife crisis and they'll go buy a sports car, or they'll go bang a waitress because they want to feel young again, or because they never had that sense of abundance, adventure, right? That they've been longing for since they were in their 20s. So I say get it out of your system, and maybe it never will leave my system. Maybe I'll always be drawn to the road and to adventure. Maybe it won't be. I don't know, but I just have to do it in the moment, And already I'm finding myself a bit less like I've already slowed down a little bit. And now I have a job. I'm happy with where I am in my hometown. Of course, I want to travel, but I don't have that desire like I did 2, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, right? Um, if I hadn't gone, who knows what I would have been thinking? I would have probably been like, "Oh man, I'm still here. I should go. I wish I went." I have a friend actually who's a year younger than me, and he didn't do any of those things. And whenever we meet, well, at least when we get to kind of a heart to heart, it's yeah, well, it's too late. I tell him it's not, but he thinks it's too late for himself.
Wow, man.
And he's regretful, and I don't want to be regretful.
Well, the difference between you and a lot of men that maybe are aware and hear that calling or the yearning in their hearts is that you acted upon it and you decided for yourself that it's a matter of life and death and that you have
Yeah,
to go down that road, right? But not like what would you tell someone who's maybe at that point they feel there's something that's calling them forth, maybe a very quiet voice within them. What would you tell them to do to give that voice more yeah, to listen more to that voice and to eventually maybe take action on that? What would you say to
I'd
those
say
people?
this. Yeah, yeah. I would say I would say this. I'd say you have one life. As far as look, I don't know what happens after, but I know that we do have one life and that we do die, right? And I think about this. Think about yesterday and how it's over now, right? Whatever happened yesterday happened, and now it's over. Now think about you on your deathbed, right? You're at whatever age you are, and you have 10 minutes left to live, right? What's gonna matter? What's gonna matter at the end of your life? Is it gonna be the money you made, or the job you had, or the house you had, or the vacations you went on, the cruise you went on, right? Or is it going to be that time when you're with your buddies and you were laughing because this crazy thing just happened? Is it going to be that time when you met that girl in that place and you went on a walk at 3 a.m. on the beach and had this moment that was a pause in time and it was like you're on a different planet? Is what's going to matter that time you went to Brazil and did ayahuasca and you met that person and you had that just magical like that in my experience as a person who's done a lot so far in his life is what matters, is those moments um, of serendipity, of just it feeling like you're on a different world, um, like that's what matters in life. And I mean my kind of not that my purpose is to have those, because those kind of come and go as the universe pleases in my belief. But it's yeah, I mean it's that moment. I think about the end and what do I want to have my last experience on earth to be like and be full of, and it's full of wow, I lived a full life, you know. I mean, like, because yeah, like the way you end is the way you go on to the next thing, if there's a next thing. um I believe there is. I'm not sure exactly what, but I believe there is a next thing, and I want to go into that next phase of my existence as free and as um, joyful as possible.
It reminds me of
And
it
please,
just reminded me of something. I think Casanova said when he was writing his memoirs, and he said that reliving all those moments was the happiest part of his older life. he got to remember and write about all these crazy adventures he had, all these beautiful women he met, all these crazy stories he lived when he was young. And he said
Right.
that was one of the best times in his life when he got to reflect on that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just talked to Jordan today. We recorded a little series for his latest course, and he's big on embodiment. And I think that those experiences they almost like mark your they mark your being, right? Like that time with that girl is forever ingrained in your being, and it moves you in a way that no dollar amount, no material item can ever give you. It's a satisfaction that is simply not replicated by anything else. It can be women, it can be family, it can be love, it can be whatever. But these invisible, uh, experiences are really what make us and give us satisfaction. You know.
Yeah.
And like if someone doesn't get that, like they're probably not watching anymore because I mean, like it takes a certain kind of person to know that, right? Like someone just wants to buy a lot of shit and have a lot of stuff, like they're probably not going to sit and watch an hour long podcast about adventure and beauty because that's just not who they are, and that's fine. Um, um, Frankly, I don't really want that person, to be
Right.
around me because
Right.
there's not much shared there, right? And I don't have time in my limited life um, for people who don't share the same outlook as I do. Of course, there is the inevitability of having colleagues and whatnot, of course. But in terms of who I want around me voluntarily, like it's people who share a similar trajectory and outlook on life that I do.
Anthony, your share really reminded me of a quote from Napoleon, actually. And I just pulled it up because I wanted to quote it correctly. He goes, France, army, head of the army, my son, Josephine, on his deathbed. You think, what mightier man than Napoleon ever lived? You can say what you want about him more morally. What, man saw an entire continent as his own, and took drastic action to make it happen. Say what you will, but that guy was successful.
Yeah.
I don't care what the history books or what modern interpretations say.
Yeah.
What an inspiring man. And he probably thought, like you, like Marvin, like Rafa and Mathieu that we had on, wow, okay. At some point, he must have sat down and thought, people get old.
Yeah.
And dreams die.
Yeah.
And he didn't let that stop him. He went and conquered half the known world.
Yeah.
Think of Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, who was illiterate and couldn't read or write, and built these massive empires. And you think, we're worried about the many problems that we have? Oh, but how am I gonna pay my car bill? How am I gonna pay my phone bill, my insurance? What if that one girl doesn't like me? It's your life at some point, to the listener. And you're right. I really liked how you said the people that aren't interested in these sorts of things, that don't exist on this wavelength, probably stopped listening to this podcast a long time ago. But the people that are still here, they're here for a reason,
Yeah.
So, wow.
And I'm definitely not condoning dictatorships and whatnot, but there is something to be said for someone who dreams so big and doesn't relent in pursuit of their grandiose dream, right? Yeah. For sure.
You want to take it to a more practical level, Justin? We always like to start from a more philosophical kind of we try to combine the why and the how, right? Why do you want to live the life you want to live, and then how do you actually go about and put some stuff into action then. Yeah, you have something on your mind, Justin?
Yeah. So practically, because it's easy for us to say, because I mean, it took years for us to get to the point where we sold apartment, quit job, cut ties with people that didn't serve us, and went into the great world. Easy to say for us on camera, right? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, just sell your house and your car and just go out there into the unknown and leave everything behind and trust that life will take care of you. More practically, I know you said last episode, Marvin, what if you just took a month off? What if you went to Brazil for a month and got a taste of that adventure, mm-hmm. and got a glimpse of what your life could be like? Because ultimately up to you. It's your decision to make, to take a small step in that direction. Confucius says, it does not matter how slow you go as long as you do not stop. And certain people some guys listening to this will be ready to drop everything and hit the road and travel with us and see what they're made of. All of us die, or all of us are going to ride into glorious victory. Some guys are going to take a couple months, years, more and more podcasts, more and more things and there's this idea in the hero's journey as outlined by Joseph Campbell. And you hear the call to adventure, but the natural next step is to refuse that call. So the call to adventure comes to you when you're at a point of pain, you're at a crossroads, like Anthony, you described, you saw your life going in two paths. And so you see, okay, life could be different. Something inside me tells me that I can make more out of this one-time existence in this body. And then the natural next step in the hero's journey is actually the refusal of the call. Every hero, you look at Luke Skywalker, you look at all of the movies like Braveheart, you like all of our inspirations, Jack Sparrow, they all refuse the call to their destiny to be their absolute greatest initially, until the pain of staying where they are becomes so great. And I'm extreme, so I'll take this with a grain of salt and don't listen to me. But a life that isn't lived on your terms is no life at all. It's better to be dead than to be living someone else's life for you. And the pain becomes so unbearable at that point that you have to change everything after you refuse the call initially. So guys that are listening and thinking, well, I've already spent 10 years, 20 years, 30 years in this thing, and now it's too late for me to start. Like your friend you mentioned, Anthony. It's really not. Who knows when all of us are going to die? Everyone is, as far as I'm concerned, the same age, because we don't know what's going to happen.
Right. And honestly, all it takes is it doesn't take much time at all. Like if you're 85 years old, and you've never had the kind of experiences you want to have, it doesn't take much to get to that place of connection with the sublime or feeling of outerworldly beauty. It doesn't take much. It might be a week. It might be one trip to Brazil. It might be one ayahuasca trip. It might be one woman. It might be whatever. It doesn't take much. And also, I think once you taste it, you know it. And so there's never too late. It's never too late at all.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever. You said something, Justin, that I wanted to build on, and I forget it now. Yeah, I forget it. Maybe it'll come back to me.
Well, while you think of that, I'm reminded of Joseph Campbell, and this ties into your earliest story about you being a little boy, and see if I couldn't find the quote, but the essence of the quote was this: every time you tell a little boy that he can't be an astronaut, every time you tell him not to jump off of the table and pretend that he's an airplane, you kill his imagination. Those wondrous, beautiful qualities that we had as little boys, running around, no shame, no fear, completely natural, pulling girls' hair, giving them a kiss and running away,
Yeah.
That is still what is attractive to women from the boyish side. Women are not attracted to this purely alpha, darkness incarnate man that doesn't need any woman. There's an aspect of them that wants to be dominated by that guy, but there's also a nurturing, and we know this in Amorati, caring, great, generous, feminine energy that wants to take care of her man as well, you know. And so everything, as you will learn in this journey, you who is listening, and as we have all found, is the further you go along, the less you have to do and the simpler it becomes as you're reclaiming who you always were. We already have everything we need to be attractive. We just forget it. We just repress it. We just let society tell us it's a different way. I don't know if that was related to the point you were trying to make, but we already are whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. This is it. You have everything you need, in you from when you're born. It's just it's actually, it's not about learning new things. It's about learning how to erase so much of what you piled on top of who you really are and who you are at your core, to re-access that. And some people may have had less shit piled on top. Some people may have had a lot of shit piled on top. A lot of trauma, abuse, neglect, poverty, you know, the list goes on. And those people may have a harder time and a longer journey, you know, I don't know. But that's not an excuse not to fight it, you know, not to walk that journey of getting back to that place of your whole self, your authentic self, you know, your true self, which can do no wrong, which only loves and you know, engages in play and fun and you know, that women are attracted to and can latch on to. Yeah, so that's totally correct in my opinion. It's more about re-finding that truth that's inside you.
I'd be curious to hear more about that, like specifically because you mentioned the lightness of the little boy, you know, your interaction with the girls you described. Like how have you
Yeah.
found a good way to shed a lot of those layers that you learned afterwards and connect to that little boy again?
Yeah.
You know, that fun.
I guess that's been kind of most of the work that I've been doing. Like, and you know, psychedelics come to mind as a way, because when you're tripping, you're in an altered state of consciousness in which your kind of inhibitions are relaxed. And so, you know, being drunk is the most common one. You know, when guys get drunk, they say things that they wouldn't say when they were sober, for example. And they may find it easier to talk to girls. And look, if it takes the guy a drink or two to get into the mood, like that isn't the worst thing in the world. All right, like seriously. Ideally, you get to a place where you don't need alcohol to talk to girls. But if that's what it takes at the beginning, have a drink, have 2 drinks, you know, do your thing. That helped me. You know, I've done mushroom trips, I've done ayahuasca. It's helped me for sure. I'm not going to say it hasn't. More recently, it's been just, I guess I've seen examples. You know, I've worked with Johnny. I've been to Bucharest. I saw the guys, you know, in action. Zan as well, Jordan. I saw how they are just so like unrestrictingly themselves. Like I remember when I was in Vegas with Johnny, we were at dinner, and we were in this like nice steakhouse, and there's all these like older people around us, and they're spending a lot of money on dinner, and Johnny's just talking about like coming in girls' faces and like loudly. I'm like, dude, like I'm thinking like, man, like people are gonna like turn and like get mad at us. No one said anything to us. They may have heard, they may not have heard. Johnny was just being himself. He didn't care what anyone. He didn't care, right? This is who he was, and that was it. And I've yeah, so I've done, you know, I've met these guys and done some workshops, and I've come to accept much more who I am, and really not care about what happens as a result of acting in the way that I want to act. So if I want to be playful and tell a girl like, I don't know, let me think, like one of my first days at work, there's this girl and this waitress, and she was kind of cute, and I told her like, oh well, like I get all giddy when you're around, and that's what I said, and that was it. And I don't know, like maybe like she ended up being married and whatever, but like I didn't care about the result. I wasn't even trying to get her. I just that's what I wanted to say in the moment, and I said it, and that was it. And there was nothing else there. That was it. And so yeah, I guess all that work kind of helped me to be more like that kid who also doesn't care and just says what he feels like, right? Because he doesn't like, the kid never had the rejection that the adult me has, but now the adult me is more able to not be so traumatized, not relive the trauma that those rejections of my adolescence, for example, gave me. Right? And it's like, yeah, okay, she might not agree to my proposal, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm going to say it anyways, and that's going to be it. Right? And I'm going to enjoy it in the moment for what it is, my invitation, right? My teasing or whatever, my playfulness. And what will happen will happen. Right? Like,
and you did your job. You showed up, and as Johnny says, that's success, right? You showed up.
That is success.
That is
success.
Yeah.
And also, like, again, life is short. So what, like, and a lot of guys, and I've been there, like, you know, seduction, it's like a chore. You got to go out, get your numbers in, get your approaches in, you know, make 10 approaches a day and talk to that girl and this and that. And it's like, don't you want to like enjoy your time? Like, I mean, there's already so much shit in life, work and whatnot that I have to deal with. Like, don't you want like at least this part of your life to be enjoyable? So if it's not enjoyable, if the moment itself isn't enjoyable and you're just chasing some goal, like, you're just losing out on all this time that you could be living in joy and fun, right? Like, have it be fun itself. It shouldn't be a in order to get this, it's the engagement with her should be fun because you're a guy who wants to enjoy himself, right? You know, life is short and you want to have a good time while you're here.
Agreed.
And a practical first step.
Okay, first
Sorry,
step.
Anthony. Is a practical first step. This is April 4th. We're recording this, 2025. The Amorati conference is in a little over a month.
Yes.
If you want a practical first step to where to start, join the Amorati. It's like $99. It's the cheapest it's ever been.
$99. Right. Yeah. Join the Amorati.
Go to the conference at the end of May. Go visit Zan Perion and go visit Marvin. And I know you're going to be there, and Stan's going to be there. Jordan, I think, is going to be there. He just moved to Paris.
Yeah.
Go visit the spiritual home of Ars Morada. Go and sit in the energy of men that get it, that actually like women, that are on a journey themselves. And we would love to hear you report back to us how that goes for you, if you so dare. Shall you choose to accept this mission? And go and experience the feeling of true brotherhood and not feeling so alone in this world anymore. Because I imagine a lot of guys listening to us will have been feeling alone for a long time. Oh, wow, okay, when you're with your buddies, you can talk about sports, you can drink your beers, talk about cars, money, finances. And what about your romantic life? What about you meeting girls? Men don't really help each other with that, you know? You have to fight for that on your own. So if you want a practical first step, cancel your plans for the last weekend of May, book a ticket to Bucharest, go meet Zan, get a copy of the Alabaster Girl while you're there. He has a bunch in his apartment. And see how that changes your life. Get just one taste of what that could be like, because that could be your life. A life of freedom, beauty. Go to the Amorati party on Friday night. Both of you guys have been there. They invite the most beautiful girls from Bucharest. And it's a very interesting thing of Who brought that girl? Who brought that girl? It's a very very fun time. We can't say too much about it because it's a mysterious thing that you should go and see for yourself, and then let us know how it went. That is one way for you to change your life, and don't do it if it's not a lie. You want a practical way to start. We'll leave all the links in the description.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it feels right, like I said, you really don't have a choice, because if you don't do it, it's a perpetual longing and a frustration. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm curious, Anthony, what is on your current edge? What is at the forefront of your understanding and your relationship and the way you show up with women in the world? What do you represent to them? Are you the archetypal lover? Are you the man of escape? Are you the best in bed they've ever had? Are you the man that shows them what it means to feel beautiful and alive again? Where are you at in your journey with women now, having undergone your metamorphosis, as you beautifully said, and your transformation, your personal transformation that you fought for over the years, in the dark jungles of Brazil, in the clean streets of Bucharest? Where are you now, brother?
Well, thank you for that. You really lifted me up there, Justin.
I've seen it.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And there's a lot to come, but where I'm at now, I'm really interested in this idea of what Jordan just called in one of his most recent writings, spooky action from a distance. This idea of non-verbally communicating with the woman, through your eyes, through your body language, through your energy. I'm really interested in that. So, and I'm finding myself doing a lot more of that. And what kept me from doing that before was, first of all, not understanding that that was even a thing consciously. But then I realized that I had all kinds of blockages in place that were keeping me from, like, I would like physically clench up whenever I saw a woman that I liked, because I was afraid of some sort of feeling, of some sort of connection that I didn't know this, but my body did, right? So, like, I mean, yesterday I was at the grocery store, and there's this cute girl behind the takeout counter, and I just like stood there and I looked at her for like a few seconds longer than I normally would have, and something in her changed a little bit, and she felt like, oh, like this guy kind of sees me, right? And that was it. I bought my thing and I left, and I wished her a good day, and like, like that alone was like a really enjoyable experience for me, right? And I'm also kind of exploring this idea that you can do that without even seeing the person. So I know I know this girl in Bucharest who introduced me to a friend of hers who is really on a spiritual plane of some sort, and she tells me things that are way above even my understanding and conception of what is true.
Hippie girl.
Big time. But she'll tell me she'll tell me things like, oh yeah, last night I like felt you, I knew you were going through this thing, and I was like, what? Like she lives across the world right now, and she's telling me things about myself. I'm like, okay, what the fuck? So I do think there's something there, like some sort of kinetic energetic communication that is possible to achieve. And I really think that I'm seeing it in its infancy, but there is a whole world that I have yet to really see when it comes to the way that we as human beings relate to one another. Or we as beings. We're beings in human bodies, but we're beings, right? And I see you, Justin, across the screen, and I see your hair, I see your face, I see your clothes. Same with you, Marvin. But what else is there, right? Like, and I think with women, maybe because there is that sort of polarity, and that sort of biological long-seated way of intermingling, that maybe I see it more with women, this kind of hidden side of relating. But that's what I'm exploring, is everything that lies beneath the apparent level, right? Because, like, you know, penis and vagina friction is great, but, like, what else is there? Because that doesn't last very long, and when it's over, right? And you can't fuck all day, right? So, like, what else is there, right? And that's kind of where I'm at now. It's like, what else is there? You know?
Wow. So I want to add a clarification to those listening. Anthony is describing in a little bit the subcommunication that we talk about in the Amorati. This is you seeing a girl and exchanging more than that one glance. You saying, I see you and I like you. You pretend to look at her ass and you tell her, I love your energy. I love the way you walk. I love the way that dress moves around your body. In one glance. So the guy that is nervous and bumbling and taking up her time and buying her drinks to make her like him more all night, you said more in that one glance in the bar than that guy said in 50 paragraphs in all of his stories and all of his bragging. Here's my resume. Here's my car. I own this many houses.
Yeah.
There's this beautiful concept of subcommunication, which I think Anthony is alluding to. I wanted to put a different language on it, but it goes infinitely deep. And at a starting level, you can say, excuse me, I don't mean to bother you. I'm really nervous to talk to you, and I thought you might like taller guys than me, but I had to come say hello. And whatever, because that is a starting point, which is doing more than nothing. But the deeper that you go down this rabbit hole, layers like that start to reveal themselves. And, for example, we alluded to this at the start, the numbers game. You need to approach 10,000 women before you're... No, not necessarily. What about the quality of those approaches? If you're just trying something, formulaic, unembodied, where it's written on your forehead, I found this in a book. Girls know a beautiful, intelligent woman can see right through that immediately. So where do you start? First of all, you join the people that are on this path that are a little bit ahead of you, join Zan and Johnny, who are 30 years ahead, and I want to hand it back to you, Anthony, but I wanted to illustrate that a little bit more.
Look, if a guy all he wants to do is get laid, like, that's fine. And, there's a time and a place in every guy's life where all you want is just see our dick wet. And that's biological, and it makes sense. It's necessary, or not, I don't know. But, that's not what we're talking about. And so, and also, like, that, I mean, for me, like I said, it kind of gets old. Like, the kind of apparent world as you see it, the 3D world for me gets boring pretty fast. And so that's when I start to explore what lies beyond that. Someone may not be curious, and they may be very content living in the material world, and there is certainly a lot you can do in the material world. I guess I always had a proclivity to exploring what lies beyond that, and I think all of us have. That's kind of why we're having this conversation in the first place. Because if it wasn't like, if we didn't have that interest, we wouldn't be talking about these things. And hey, maybe a guy who isn't quite there yet is in that still kind of just looking to get laid mentality, and that's fine. And maybe, probably, I think in my experience, at a certain point it will get old, and he'll go on to look for more. And that may be when he decides to come on board, for what we're trying to do and what we're seeking. Because, I mean, I don't know how many, I've run courses, Justin, you've run courses. Like, I met a lot of Amorati. I don't know anyone in the Amorati who's here just to get laid. I don't think there are. I mean, some guys definitely want to have more sex, but I don't know any guy who just wants that, who's here. This isn't the place to be. Like, you can find an easier way of getting a girl into your bed. It's just not the easiest way to do that, right? So, like, a lot more work than you're doing, right?
That's the thing, Anthony.
It's a different goal.
You're completely right. And you wonder, why do guys come and they pay us and they pay Zan and they pay Johnny thousands of dollars? If they wanted sex, they could just go to the nearest wherever and pay for sex. You can have sex.
It's a lot cheaper.
And it's a lot cheaper, and you can have a lot more of it.
Yeah.
Except all of the, you think of how much money guys spend on cars, on TVs, on their houses, on their apartments, just so that a girl might come over and they might like them more because they have this sort of thing. What if you put that money into yourself for a change, so that wherever you went in the world, wherever the situation, you knew that you have what it takes? That's what men pay for. They don't pay us to have more sex. They don't pay us to bang their girls for them. They pay us so that they can develop that sense in themselves of knowing that they are as manly as they have ever been. Here, pay me to bang your girls. Let me show you how.
Good business.
That's your new coaching model, Jess.
Yeah, it's not bad.
But I mean, exactly right. Right? You go on. Eventually, it may start with women. That may be the biggest pain point in a man's life, right? And eventually, you realize that you want to go on this adventurous journey that takes you far beyond the land of women into something on your own path, and
yes.
and all the rest, the women, the money, the power, all that comes with that, right? It's not. But for a lot of men, the experience they have with women is kind of the biggest pain point, and that is kind of the trigger that compels them on this journey of a lifetime that they eventually will embark on if they follow through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Marvin, you're saying it great. Do you want to expand? Because that's
all I got.
What you're hinting at, I think. Okay, I'll elaborate. Is the soul of a man is what we talked about in the last episode. Anthony, I think you'll relate to this because you come from a more spiritual learning. There's something in the soul of a man where a woman is an irreplaceable part of his journey, but she is not the most important thing in his journey. There's something that I think the masculine psyche, you can say the masculine soul, the masculine essence, the spirit of a man yearns for that is so much more than just women or the known world. It's what makes men, throughout all of history, try and conquer frontiers, to try and expand, to try and, be magnificent, and I think it's a very, very broad concept. But at some point you realize once you embark on your own hero's journey, that it's all the same thing. The names have changed, but the stories have all stayed the same. And it invites into the discussion, what is our role to play at this moment? To me, Zan and Johnny are Casanova and Lord Byron incarnated in this millennia that we live in. It's just the name is different, but the story is the same. What is our role to play? Do we go from naive seekers to kings, to sages that lead the way for other men to follow along after us? I wouldn't say that we're at that point necessarily yet, but there's these archetypal, masculine, beautiful ways that men have always existed throughout all of time. And I think we're not saying anything new. We're just trying to bring back into the consciousness this disconnected, shallow consciousness, this ugly, ugly society that we live in with false idols, and to restore a bit of the beauty of those inspiring, truly inspiring masculine figures. You look at the women you interact with in your daily life, and you ask them, when was the last time you saw a man and you were like, what a man he is? How rare is that? Rare. And you can ask that to your friends too. How many men know of a hero? Oh, wow, what an incredible guy that I look up to that I want to be like when I'm older. There might be some, but they're very far and few in between.
Yeah.
So that's our crusade. That's what we have to fight for with this circumstance that's been given to us. Do you guys have any thoughts?
Yeah. I wonder if I feel like it's a thing that we're losing, that we're missing, that's been missing from my research over the past 40 years or so. I like a lot of old films. I've been watching a lot of old films like 80s and earlier. And it seems like there was more role models, more male role models for guys to look up to. Now, there ain't much. It's a lot of superheroes, but they're not even fucking human. So that's way too high of a standard to
Marvel movies,
right? Guys with 8-pack abs and fucking
lightning bolts.
I'm not gonna be that guy. But the Tony Soprano, which Johnny, his name comes from, he or the
Godfather,
right, Don Corleone, Michael Corleone, tonight I'm gonna watch Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which is a western. I haven't seen it, but I've looked into it.
Lucky.
A western about
Lucky man.
These two guys who go to Bolivia and they rob banks and shit. But like just these guys who you know they had this quality about them that was attractive. And attractive doesn't mean necessarily sexual. To attract is to have people want to be around you. To have people come be around you. That's what attraction is, right? To attract people into your life. And these men, for a variety of reasons, were attractive men. And I don't think we have much examples of that anymore. There's not a whole lot, right? And the ones that are often attractive for reasons that are, rather unhealthy, like their money or they manipulate or whatever, right? Like,
yeah. But men have no message, so even those, those seem like those are better than nothing, I guess.
The messages are, I don't know, in my opinion, and like the odd time I'll watch a YouTube video from some guy channel that has like 30,000 subscribers, and I think this guy gets it. This guy he gets it. But again, it's rare. It's rare, right? And it seems to be more like the average Joe than anyone in any position of authority or power or fame. Seems like the celebrities and the real who's of today are I don't know, corrupted in some way, I guess. And in the past, it just seems like people who were celebrities and influential figures were more the kind of guy or girl that I would want to be around and have want to emulate.
Wow. Well, let's flip it to the other end. Which women actresses and people are inspirational today? I look around and I see a bunch of people trying to look like Kim Kardashian, and none of that timeless beauty that say Monica Bellucci or Penelope Cruz represent. In our modern age, like, women are not inspiring. They look at, I don't know, like some random singers as role models too.
Right. Right. So what's trending now? I mean, in North America, in Canada, I mean, I assume it's somewhere in Utah, it's in Ontario. It's the big ass, the long ass, ratchet nails, fake eyelashes, that's what's trending. And like, it is what it is, but I mean, I don't know, and it's the super skimpy clothing, and it's hypersexual. To me, it's a hypersexualization. It's, here's my ass, fucking let's fuck. It's like and it's devoid of, and honestly, like, because guys are so fucking porn fueled, a lot of girls think that they need to be these like sex dolls. Like, you won't like me unless I'm his fucking sex toy. And that's kind of sad.
Yeah. Where are the muses? Where are the queens and the empresses?
Yeah.
Where are those women of regal power? I think of Cleopatra. I think of Helen of Troy, to live a few examples. Where is that's lost? Who is an inspiring woman that lives today? So girls are lost too. And that's what you, the listener, has to realize. You think that you're the only one that's in your head that's nervous? No, the girl's nervous. What if that cute guy comes and talks to me? What if that guy makes it so I can't stay at home eating Cheetos in my pajamas, growing fat tonight because he's going to sweep me off my feet? Girls are lost too because they don't have a good message or true inspirations either. And we have it in our minds that we're the only ones struggling as men.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah.
Hey man, maybe let me bring up a question that Rafa, our previous guest, asked. We kind of on the fly came up with a tradition that each guest asks a question for the following guest, even though they don't really know who it's going to be. And I think Rafa asked, "What beauty have you witnessed today?" That was his question for the following guest. So Anthony, what beauty have you witnessed today?
Well, what beauty did I witness today? Oh, you know what, man? I saw this YouTube video. It was Macklemore, the rapper, and it's this video where he takes his grandma out on her 100th birthday, and does whatever she wants, like for the day. And so they like go like egg this lady's house, and then he takes her to like a karaoke bar, and then her friends surprise her, and they hire a male stripper to come to the house. They're all like 90-year-old ladies, right? They're laughing and having the time of their life, and it was just such a like I cried because like yesterday I went to this funeral of this man that I used to know. He passed. He was old, but you know, grandparents generation. And yeah, I mean, I just like love to see that kind of generational uh, yeah, contact being maintained, and I found it beautiful. Yeah, yeah. I think the song is called "Glorious." It's a pretty well known song, but the video was it's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah,
I know it well. It's a great song.
yeah.
100 years old.
Yeah, I think she passed now, but the video came out like in 2017, and she was 100. Yeah,
Wow, man.
yeah. That's a great question. I want. What am I going to ask the next participant? Well,
That's beautiful, man.
yeah.
Yeah, the question doesn't have to be deep.
No, well,
Something that you
every day I ask myself 3 questions, right? And it's based on the Amorati daily ritual. I ask myself, who am I today, and what do I want my life to look like? That's one question. I combine it into one question. Then I go, how am I a leader today? The answer is often, I'm a leader because I decide what to do with my own time and my own resources. And the third question is, what was I born at this time in history to do? So I want to ask the next person what they think in that moment, because it changes for me all the time, but what they think in that moment they were put on Earth at this time in history to do.
Wow, man. What a question.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Curious to
Let's
hear
see who it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see who the lucky guy is. So, Anthony, before we wrap up this podcast, where can people find you? What's on the horizon for Ars Morada? And what's on the horizon for you? And the Johnny Primer, maybe, like, what do you coach men on, and what do you do? And how can people get in contact with you?
Yeah. So I do run, well, we've ran a few of them together, Justin, but I've been running them on my own as of late. I run a 8-day course that breaks down Johnny Soporno's, who's a friend of ours and mentor, his sort of lifestyle design philosophy. It's a live 8-day with girls Zoom course.
Real girls. Live girls.
Live girls. Yes, beautiful girls who are so honest and give great feedback. Yeah, so in general, a guy can contact me with regards to my coaching or anything at anthony@arsmorada.com or anthony.zrinscak@gmail.com. That's a private email. I don't use a whole lot of social media, but at Anthony Zrinscak, Anthony Zrinscak. That's generally my handle on Instagram, Facebook as well. Ars Morada, wow. Well, I think it's definitely in a sort of transition. So I obviously joined recently. I mean, you guys have been there for longer than I have, and the whole thing's been around for 20 years. It's changed a fuck ton since then, for sure. It what can I say? 'Cause I don't want to talk about things that aren't really cemented and set in stone. But there's a lot more structure that's being implemented, and the goal is for there to be for Ars Morada to be sort of a one-stop shop for all things when it comes to this space of seduction, well, our style of seduction, even that word, I'm careful to use it.
Dating, relationships.
Dating, relating with others, relating with yourself. Like this is a philosophy, and as far as I'm concerned, there really is no other one. Well, it's not new, but it's, in terms of today's world, there really isn't anything quite like it. There are a lot of dating coaches and dating companies out there, but none of them talk about these things the way that we do. I've not seen any. A lot of them have like the RSDs and even the I don't know much about the natural lifestyle guys, but my impression is that a lot of them have pivoted into the kind of this more self-focused place, or they've gone into like business, and it's all great, and ultimately it is a self journey. But Ars Armata still talks about women in a world in which this whole thing is taboo, and men are so afraid to even use the word to talk to women, talk about women, to talk about seduction. Ars Armata does so in a way that's so artful and so non-invasive and so respectful, yet empowering. That's the difference. That's what's special, and that's what still is the core, and what we're trying to get out there is this message. Yeah.
We're never gonna stop.
Well, no,
we'll never stop.
We are. It's who I am. Yeah. Like Zan says, there are potentially millions of men who are Amorati, and they just don't know it.
Yeah.
Right. They don't know about Ars Armata, but they embody the quality.
Right? Yeah. And if you relate to this conversation, you have something in you
Probably
that might make you an Amorati.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Now,
okay. Well,
for me, I mean, I was one, but I didn't know that until I pulled the trigger and joined, right? And I found I felt at home, right? And I found guys like you who get it, right? And I didn't really have that before. And whenever I go, whenever I open my phone and I see the chats, but our chat has a new meme or a new something in it, I'm like, wow, like yes, like I'm hearing from Justin and Marvin and Dan, because like I like these guys, and I know that whatever they're saying, it's going to make me smile or laugh or move me in some way. Right? I know that. Versus my emails or my work chat, it's like, well, that's sometimes it's a burden. It's work, right? This isn't work. This is enjoyable. I like this.
Yeah, this is living. In a way, man, Ars Armata is life-giving. It's something worth living for and looking forward to.
Yeah.
The lifelong connections that I already feel that we have,
Yeah.
And from not knowing each other long, it feels like we've known each other a lot longer than we've actually known each other, just from the depth of the shared experiences that we've created. So I want to thank you, Anthony, for coming on.
Thank you,
Marvin. Thank you and let's make this happen again. We'll leave all the links to find Anthony below. Get the Alabaster Girl. Sign up for the primer. Well, I don't know when you're running the next one. But
neither do I, but
it will happen.
It'll happen.
Link down there, and guys can find it when it's ready.
Sounds good. Okay, until then, we will see all of you guys next week. This has been Anthony Zrinscak. Thank you. See you guys.
Thank you.